Hey there, this is Clay with modernlove.life, and this is the Relationship Inner Game Experience. Now, this week I want to continue a little bit off of what we talked about last week, which again was why certain relationships will never work, right? And we talked a little bit about values and accepting your partner 100% and all of those things. But today I want to talk about specifically a little bit more why relationships are so hard. Now, the reason that relationships are hard in a lot of respects, there are a lot of different reasons why relationships are hard, but I think that one of the main reasons is that there's still a lot of mysticism around the world of love and relationships. You know, you hear a lot of people say things like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, it's just my soulmate, it's written in the stars, I'm supposed to meet somebody, or, you know, stuff like that. But we wouldn't think that way about, say, fitness, for example. We wouldn't say, you know, hey, if I'm going to get fit, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, or, you know, it's written in the stars that I'm going to get six-pack abs or a bikini body or something like that. No, it doesn't happen. Like, we know instinctively when it comes to things like, you know, making money or our careers or health and fitness or other areas of life, we instinctively know that we need to put in a certain effort in order to get a certain kind of result, right? We kind of get this. But this is sort of not necessarily universally understood when it comes to relationships, and there is a lot of mysticism involved. Now, if you can get past this mysticism, there's also a lot of, let's just say, poor information out there that's really revolving around mind games and gimmicks and, you know, magic text messages and all sorts of other BS, right? And I hope that if you're listening to this Relationship Inner Game Experience, that you already know and already agree that mind games will not yield a great relationship. Playing hard to get will not yield a great relationship. Pretending to be someone that you're not will not yield a great relationship. Things like that are just not going to get you where you want to go, right? Because it's fundamentally a deception. It's being someone that you're not, and eventually you're going to have to let your guard down and drop the act, and then the person is going to realize that you did a bait and switch on them, and they're going to be frustrated, mad, upset, sad, angry, and probably want to dump you, divorce you, or whatever, okay? So don't do that. What I want you to do is accept, first of all, that relationships are not a mystical thing. They're not a mysterious thing, okay? You can simply approach dating and relationships the same way that you would logically approach health or fitness or finances or your career or something like that. You know, if you wanted to get in shape, you know that you have to exercise to some degree and to, more likely than not, eat healthy foods, right? I'm not going to get into the details of that because this is a relationship and dating thing, but you know, I have studied some amount of nutrition and exercise in my past, and I have done a little bit to get in shape in the past as well too. I probably could do a little bit more, but hey, whatever. So when it comes to relationships and dating, people need to know what it is that they're actually looking for, right? And oftentimes people get a little bit too vague about this. They just want to be with a good guy or a nice girl, or, you know, when you just know, you know, or something like that. That's a little bit of the mysticism stuff. And what I want you to do is I want you to put all that aside and actually think about the kind of person that you want to be with. Now, we talked about this last week, but I want you to actually take the time to do this because I know that probably most of you didn't do that, but actually take the time to really do this. And then actually scientifically approach what would it take to get this person into your life? What would it take to attract this person? What would this person actually be attracted to? It's not just enough to make a list of like, yeah, I want a supermodel girlfriend, I want her to be a millionaire, I want to be able to live off of her and her family. You can't just do that and then just not take a look at yourself and sit, you know, you're like an overweight slob who has like pretty much nothing to offer her. You have to actually be able to say, okay, well, if I was a supermodel and I was like a millionaire and I wanted to support some guy, then what would I actually want in a boyfriend, in a husband, right? And I'm not here to answer that question because that's not what I'm particularly looking for in my life. But, you know, if you want that in your life, you have to actually stop and say, okay, well, what would a supermodel want in a boyfriend? Well, probably she wants somebody who's fairly good looking too. Somebody who is doing something fairly ambitious with their life. It's not easy to be a supermodel. You have to have some degree of ambition to become a supermodel, and obviously you have to look pretty nice. And so she probably wants somebody who looks fairly nice as well and has some degree of ambition in his life as well too. If you want to be with somebody who's a millionaire, you have to obviously offer that person something that they might want, something that they might like to experience, such as, some sort of sophisticated experience being around you, or something that maybe reminds you of their time before they were a millionaire, where they can just let down their guard and laugh because they're just so used to being around phony people that just want to be around them for their money, or something like that right now. And so you have to actually think about these things and actually decide what it is you're looking for in a partner, and actually set up a strategic plan to do that. Okay, so you have to have a fair trade, obviously, and it's like trying to find a Gucci bag in Walmart. No matter how hard you look, it's just not going to be there. You see a lot of these people that are hoping to find like a great high quality person or something, but they just keep going to these dive bars and these, meat market clubs and stuff like that. And sure, high quality people might sometimes like to go out with the boys or go out with the girls and just go, dancing, or just go bar hopping or something like that. But as a general rule, when you go to a meat market club, you're going to meet market kinds of people, like pickup artists or girls that like to go home with pickup artists and stuff like that. And that's fine if that's what you're looking for, but if you don't want that, then you need to stop and say, okay, well, what is it that I do want? If I want somebody who, is more health conscious, maybe I should go to like a fitness class or a yoga class or join a hiking group or something like that. You're probably much more likely to meet the kind of person that you're looking for there than just in some just vague, generic bar situation, which is like a, catch-all sort of nebulous party scene or something like that. So think about this before you go jumping headfirst into trying to find somebody. Finally, just go with being yourself, right? Oftentimes, a lot of people will build up a lot of complicated rules about how to successfully date or how to successfully have a relationship. They'll build up these very complex rules like whoever cares the least controls the relationship. You always got to play hard to get. Men need the pursuit or the thrill of the chase in order to actually love a woman, or you got to be an alpha male in order for the women to fall in love with you, or something like that. That's fine if you just naturally are hard to get, or if you're naturally an alpha male, or if you're naturally whatever. But if you're putting on some sort of act to try to trick somebody into thinking that you're someone that you're not, again, that's probably not going to work out in the long run, because it's fundamentally a deception, and eventually the house of cards is going to come crumbling down, and they're going to realize that you baited and switched with them. And they're going to be upset, frustrated, mad, angry, whatever with you, and they're probably going to leave you. So don't do that. Just be genuine, just be authentic, just be forthright and honest, okay? And that's going to do you a whole lot better than trying to put on this fake facade of pretending to be someone that you're not. So I hope this helped you out. And with that being said, let's get into questions from our students that are actively enrolled in our programs this week.
Okay, this week we have a question from Steve. Steve writes in and says, I'm going to a party and my ex will probably be there with her rebound. How am I supposed to react since it's a party for her brother's birthday and all of her family will be there? I know I'm supposed to ignore her rebound and to accept the relationship, but since I'm in ANC, I still think that it's the best way to reconnect with her. So, how do I talk to her knowing that her rebound will be there and she will certainly be on guard? Okay, so Steve, the first thing that you said that raises some alarms with me, some eyebrows with me, well, I guess I only have two of them, so one of my eyebrows, is you're asking how are you supposed to react at this party? And first of all, the word supposed to, that makes me a little bit cautious because it implies that there's some sort of divine golden rules that you must always follow in order to get back together with your ex, as if you have to follow these 5 simple steps or whatever in order to get back together with your ex. And it's not that way at all. The truth is that getting back together with your ex is ultimately about feeling into the moment and knowing what the right way to respond will be. okay? So you have to be able to feel into the moment and ascertain what the right thing to do is. So that's why we emphasize advanced relational skills. That's why we emphasize being able to tune into the present moment. That's why we emphasize emotional acceptance. That's why we emphasize composure and many of these other things, okay? So I don't want you to think that there is some sort of, I don't know, celestial set of rules bestowed onto you by me, Clay Andrews, the guru of getting back together or something like that, because I don't want you to turn off your brain and to just follow some sort of arbitrary set of rules. I want you to have your brain turned on, and I want you to be able to respond accordingly and feel into the moment and know what the right thing to do is when it comes to interacting with your ex at this brother's party of hers. Maybe it means that you go up and you talk to her. Maybe it means that you don't go up and talk to her. Maybe it means that you feel out the situation and see how she's feeling and then decide if you want to talk to her in a deeper way or not talk to her, or whatever the right approach might be for you. So you have to really feel into these moments in order to know what the right thing to do is. Now, the second thing that you said that raised one of my eyebrows is that you said, how are you supposed to react at the party? And now the term react, now I know that it's just a word that you used, but there's a big difference between responding and reacting. And I'm not in favor of anybody ever just reacting to something that their ex does or reacting to a situation. Okay? Now, when you say the word react, what that implies is that there is something else controlling you, that you don't really have a say in the matter, and that something else is, doing something, snapping its fingers, whatever, and that you just have some sort of thoughtless automatic response of some sort, right? Somebody pounds your foot with a hammer, you react by screaming in pain and pulling your foot away, right? That's a reaction. There's no thought involved in it. It just happens automatically without your say whatsoever. Now, a response, on the other hand, implies that you are feeling into the moment, ascertaining what's happening, and then choosing what to do based off of your ability to sense what's happening in the moment and to act in alignment with what it is that you want, what your values are, okay? So I would rather that you respond in the moment of seeing your ex at this party by not, again, following some sort of celestial rules bestowed upon humanity by Clay, the, guru of saving relationships or anything, but I would rather have you respond by feeling into the moment, understanding where your ex's emotional state is. I don't know, maybe she's in a good mood that day. Maybe she's anxious because she knows that you're going to be there. Maybe she's trying to show off her boyfriend in a way to make you jealous, or I don't know. It could be any one of those things. And if you don't know where she's at emotionally, then I can't tell you what to do. And I might tell you, hey, do this or do that, and it could be the wrong thing because, if she's trying to make you jealous, then it would require a different response than if she was actually open to interacting with you because maybe she just had a fight with her rebound boyfriend or something like that and they broke up on the car, I don't know. And so it's not about reacting, it's about responding. And so if you really boil all of this down, your question is, I'm a little bit concerned about the way that you're thinking about this. Okay, so you really want to make sure that you're working on those advanced relational skills so that you are able to know what's happening in the moment and you're able to adapt your strategy in order to create positive interactions in that moment rather than just applying some sort of arbitrary set of rules or something like that. And then that, I think, will help you a whole lot more than supposed tos and reacting, okay? But if you want to look past all of the linguistic syntax aside, here's what I would generally recommend when it comes to seeing your ex in public. Okay, so first of all, you want to be able to feel into the situation and understand where they are at, okay? Are they standoffish towards you? Are they open and receptive towards you? Are they anxious around you? Are they still angry towards you about something that happened before, during, or after the breakup? You have to be able to notice how they are. What is their emotional state in the moment that you see them in public. And then you have to respond to them in accordance with that state, okay? But before you do that, you have to ask yourself, okay, have I been practicing advanced relational skills to a degree that it is likely that I would think that I could have a positive interaction with them? That is to say, have you developed the advanced relational skills? Have you been able to go out into the world and interact with other people in a way that causes positive emotional interactions to occur? Have you been able to increase your ability to feel into the present moment, to have empathy and curiosity for another person, to express composure so that you're not collapsing and posturing, etc., so that you can have higher quality emotional interactions with other people? If so, then that would likely translate over into a perceived higher stakes situation, such as interacting with your ex, okay? And if that is true, then yeah, there's a reasonable expectation that you can have a positive interaction with your ex. If you're still in damage control mode, for example, if the last several times that you've interacted with your ex, things have just gone sideways, they've devolved into some sort of argument, or your ex just walling you out or rolling their eyes, and she just says, oh, you've never changed at all, I don't know why I even try with you, or something like that, and she hangs up the phone, then I would be a little bit cautious about that, okay? But if you do believe that you have the ability to have a positive connection with your ex, and you are able to ascertain what her emotional state is in that moment, all you have to do is meet that emotional state in a way that you believe is going to create a positive interaction. So if she's open to talking to you, you might respond to that by going up and talking to her and deepening the emotional connection and creating a good solid bond with one another, having a positive interaction, etc. If, for example, you detect that she is probably still upset with you about something that happened before, during, or after the breakup, you might go up to her and directly address the thing that happened. Or, say, hey, I know you might still be pissed off at me because of da-da-da-da-da. I just wanted to say that I wasn't in my right mind at that time. I was going through, a little bit of breakup craziness, and maybe I overreacted in one way or another. And then you can actually have a conversation about what she's holding on to so that she can actually start to let go of that, so that she has the space to actually have a conversation with you. If she's anxious, you ask yourself, why is she anxious? Is she afraid that you're going to try and get back together with her, that you're have this hidden agenda of trying to get back together with her, and that's more important to you than understanding where her emotional state is and actually meeting her where she's at and acknowledging her reservations and fears about such things? If so, then maybe you have a conversation with her about that and say something like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I don't have a hidden agenda here. I just want to have a conversation with you and hope that we can have a good connection with one another like we used to. Something as simple as that, right? But again, this is about you feeling into the situation and understanding how to best deal with it in that time, okay? It's not about golden rules where you switch your brain off and just robotically follow them. It's not about reacting whatsoever, okay? And then in regards to her rebound partner, what you don't want to do, obviously, is you don't want to put him down. You don't want to try and start some sort of verbal or physical fight with him or anything like that. That's just going to make you look worse, right? Obviously, I think most people get that. But what you also want to be wary of is trying to see something that's not there, okay? You don't want to get caught up in trying to see something that's not there. Like, oh, look, they're smiling and they're like hugging each other and all of that stuff. Therefore, they're meant to be. They're so much better. Their relationship is perfect or something like that. No, I mean, they're obviously at a social setting. They're obviously going to try and put their best foot forward. That's what people do at social settings. That's what people do at parties. That's what people do on Facebook, right? It's not a perfect reflection of reality. It doesn't tell you the whole story. It's just the polished version of how people want to be perceived. That's kind of what people see when they're at parties, okay? And also, don't get caught up too much in comparing you to him and all of that stuff. That's not going to help you either. What I want you to do is I want you to stay in the present moment. Don't get caught up on intellectual tangents such as like, oh, is he more alpha male than I am? Or am I more alpha male than he is? Do I need to say something to, subtly belittle him or something like that? Is he trying to say something to subtly belittle me or something like that? Instead, don't get caught up in those games and just stay present in the moment. Stay in alignment with your composure and your values, and be able to ascertain from one moment to the next what the right thing to do is. So again, this is not about golden rules. This is not about turning your brain off and following Clay's no thinking, patented, effortless 5-step system to get your ex back. This is about feeling into the moment, creating positive interactions so that interacting with you feels good on an emotional level. And as interacting with you feels good on an emotional level, your ex will want to interact with you more on an emotional level. And as that emotional bond between the two of you strengthens and develops over time, they will gradually become more interested in you than they are in dating anyone else, and they'll eventually want to get back together with you. Okay? So, Steve, I hope this helps you out, and please keep us updated on how things go with your situation.
Okay, those have been this week's questions. If you liked this video, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so now so that you can get updates and notifications when we upload and publish new Relationship Inner Game Experience episodes. And please leave a message down below in the comments section letting me know what sorts of videos you'd like to see me make in the future. Anyway, once again, this has been Clay with modernlove.life, and I hope that this has helped you improve your relationship inner game.